Good evening, I'm Ren Wadsworth, and this is your non-stop local news update. In the U.S. tonight, the Supreme Court is set to hear back-to-back oral arguments that could reshape online speech and content this week. The cases Gonzalez versus Google and Twitter versus Temna are looking at whether tech platforms and social media companies can be sued for recommending content to their users. Justices will also look at lawsuits concerning the support of international terrorism by hosting terrorist content. A 30-year-old federal law is at the heart of the legal battle. Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act has repeatedly protected tech platforms from lawsuits over user-generated content. But it has come under scrutiny recently as companies like Twitter, Google, and Meta make decisions about content moderation. Rulings in these cases are expected by the end of June. And in a handshake that stunned the world, President Joe Biden arrived in Ukraine's capital city Monday to meet with President Vladimir Zelensky. The trip was a secret detour from the president's planned visit to Poland set to begin Tuesday. It was also a surprise designed to send a strong message to Moscow that President Biden is bold enough to vow American support for Ukraine in person and during a time of war. Laura Augreen has the visit's highlights.
Russia's aim was to wipe Ukraine off the map. Putin's war of conquest is failing.
President Joe Biden calling out Russia's Vladimir Putin during a surprise visit to Ukraine Monday. Traveling in near secrecy, President Biden's arrival in Kyiv comes just days before the one-year anniversary of Russia's invasion.
1 year later, Kyiv stands, and Ukraine stands. Democracy stands.
Despite being in an active war zone, the two world leaders talked while walking outside, air raid sirens ringing out. In a visit to St. Michael's Cathedral, the presidents each laid a wreath for Ukraine's fallen soldiers. The entire trip highly symbolic, President Biden wanting to make it clear to his Russian counterpart that the U.S. and Ukraine will not be divided.
He's counting on us not sticking together. He thought he could outlast us. I don't think he's thinking that right now.
The U.S. pledge of support includes further sanctions on Russia and an aid package worth $500 million, but not the F-16 fighter jets that Ukraine has been asking for. The president is hoping to thread the needle between all-out provocation with Russia and committing American support for Ukraine.
We're going to be with you, Mr. President, for as long as it takes.
We'll do it.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
The U.S. display of unity with Ukraine comes at a critical time in the 12-month conflict with Russia, expected to launch a spring offense and Ukraine planning to retake some Russian-occupied territory Tuesday. On Tuesday, President Biden will be in Warsaw for a planned two-day visit with the Polish president. Back in the Treasure State in Billings, the Western Heritage Center received the highest level of honor from the American Alliance of Museums by earning an accreditation. According to the AAM reviewers, accredited museums are said to be, quote, a community of institution that holds themselves publicly accountable to excellence, end quote. Out of the estimated 33,000 museums in the United States, only about 1,000 have reached the status. The Western Heritage Center is only one of 6 across Montana. Although the WHC is currently closed for maintenance, it will be reopening next month on March 10th. We're still currently in a winter weather alert and will be until Wednesday. Let's take a look at the conditions of the roads across the state. Across the state, roads have been slushy and wet, but as we move further into our night, those roads have the potential to freeze completely and even create pockets of black ice on the road. If you plan on traveling in the evening, the Montana Department of Transportation suggests using caution, driving slowly, and moving to the side for emergency vehicles. That's all for now. We'll have more news updates for you as the day goes on, so make sure to check back in for more. I'm Ren Wadsworth. Thanks for tuning in to your nonstop local news.